their youth, right? They remember the words. They'd sing along. It was amazing to me. And it was right then, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so powerful. This is an amazing vehicle. And so I wanted that. I really wanted that in my life. It also explains why a touching, slow song can move you to tears and open your heart, or a fast, happy song can make you want to move and dance and leave you with a lingering sense of hope and excitement. And they both have a good place in our lives. We need them all so that we can touch that full spectrum of our emotions, because once we touch our emotions, we can move through the chaos and the confusion of our lives, okay? Sometimes life is interesting. I remember when I was a kid, my mom and dad, they loved to sing, and we sang together in the car a lot. One of my earliest memories is of a winter day, somewhere close to Christmas. And it was dusk, just as the sun was setting, and we were singing in the car and laughing and just joking and singing and having a great time. And all of a sudden, there were red and blue lights behind our car, and I was only like 4 years old, 5 years old maybe. And I remember turning around in the seat and going, "What's that?" And my parents are like, "Uh-oh," you know. My dad was like, "Uh-oh." So, being so young, my experience with the police was pretty limited, so I had no idea what to expect. But I watched as my dad tried to explain to the nice man that we were singing as a family group, and he just lost track of where we were, where his car was on the road, and how fast he was going. And the policeman that had pulled him over pulled us right at the end of our road, just before we turned into our road. And it was close to Christmas, as I said. So the policeman goes, "Just don't do it again. Just watch where you're going, maybe sing a little less boisterously or whatever." And he let us go without a ticket. And my dad was so happy. We sang and just laughed all the way down the road. He was the happiest camper ever. It was great. And it really made an impression on me because I remember it vividly to this day. But how music can touch us in so many ways. I mean, it can be funny stories and sad stories and in your life, Yeah. My parents recognized very early on that I really, really wanted this in my life. And my dad, he yodeled, taught me to yodel to the lawnmower. And he'd whistle and all that stuff, and he'd sing, but he really needed to play an instrument, so he wanted me to learn how to play. So they tried to get me into guitar. That didn't work very good. My hands were really little. Plus, they gave me a guitar that the strings were about that far off the frets, so, little fingers trying to push a string down that far and get a good sound, no, didn't work. So we watched Lawrence Welk and the accordion. So many beautiful accordion players, and it was like, wow, what's that? I was in love. And so they got me into accordion lessons, which was great. And pretty soon I was singing and playing at home and at church and for other people, and they took me all over the place. Nursing homes, local groups. I played for a lot of the, places in town. And that was all before I was about 10. So I've had this in my life for a long time. And I guess I was probably about 12 when I realized the true power of music. I was old enough then to really understand it better. How it connected them with nature and God and love and good things and into their emotions. It made them laugh and smile and cry. And I had that power to be able to allow music to come through me and share it with others and help them work through whatever was in their lives or give them a smile for the day. It was wonderful. I loved it. So that gave me a sense of peace and realization that I could also remain calm in the storm of life by allowing God to work through me in music in my own life. So I've always held on to that verse, and some of you know I've said it to you a few times, that the Bible says, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Not a perfect noise, okay? Thank goodness, because I probably would have failed. But I think the meaning behind that is that music touches the soul in a way that nothing else can. And when you try to take it and make it too perfect and you start worrying about every little sound that you make, it loses its value. It just goes away. You've constrained it, but you've also constrained the God spirit that comes with it, okay? So you need to try to stay open and allow yourself to make sounds that aren't perfect and great. That's okay. It's more music. It's all right. Yeah, exactly. Remember that planning? Yeah, it doesn't work out. I gave that up a long time ago. I also remember playing in the pasture with my accordion to our horses. We had one horse who would always come over and put his muzzle right next to my accordion. He'd look at me like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. And then the other one, she'd come over. It was his mom. These were both Welsh ponies, so they weren't huge and overpowering. But the other one, she'd sit and put her head over my shoulder and just stand there and just sway back and forth to playing. It was amazing. And that was when I realized animals connect with it too, right? It's a universal language. Transcends speech, transcends everything. You can go to another country and hear a song and it's maybe in a different language and you're like, "Oh, that is so beautiful," right? Or you're like, "I want to dance in the aisles," you know. But those things transcend. They transcend anything. Music is a universal language. It was great. And she was my buddy. I'd had her until I was in my 30s, and we had moved out into Moxie, where I live now. And whenever we'd go on rides, I'd sing to her, and she would move her feet to the beat. It was really cool. So if I was like singing fast, we trotted. If I was really fast, we galloped. If I was really laid back, we walked. As I got older, I entered competitions and was able to attend some All-Northwest and All-State with some choirs. And I again realized the power of music, the power of many voices singing. Like when you guys sing this in the morning, I'm always bugging you. "Oh, more music. I like it." But when you guys sing and you're happy and you're clapping, and it just makes my day. It really does. It just does. It does wonders for me. I go out of here and I'm happy and I'm go home. Or if we happen to pick a song that really touches somebody's heart, and then you guys come up to me afterwards and go, "That song touched me," I feel like I've done something good. Okay, whether it's me that picked it or someone else that picked it, the fact that it actually touched somebody is wonderful. As I said, my goal was to become a music therapist. And we didn't have any programs here locally. It had just gotten started, so it was a very new thing and very expensive. My parents didn't have that kind of money, so they entered me in a contest for an All-America choir, where they were supposed to choose 40 of us to go on a Far East tour. It was a goodwill tour for the Far East, which was cool. I got chosen. It was amazing. I was amazed, completely amazed. It was pretty cool. But I got a scholarship to go to Orange County, California for music therapy that was attached to that trip, okay? My parents paid for it. No refunds. And unfortunately, I broke my arm just before we were supposed to leave, and I wasn't able to go, and I lost my scholarship. Okay. Chaos. Dream down the tube, right? Disappointment. Very sad. Life-changing event. Okay. So I had a choice. I could get angry, and I could be resentful, sad. Yeah, I could do all those things, right? But you know what? God works in mysterious ways. That was not his plan for my life at all. There's a verse in Proverbs 16:9 that says, the mind of man plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. Okay? So the chaos that was in my life at that time and feeling like I'd let everybody down was immense. My dream of going to college for music therapy was hijacked by that broken arm. But God showed me in many ways that, like I said, it wasn't his calling. I admit, though, there were a couple times that I wondered if he hadn't pushed us off that cliff on purpose to change my life. But the thing is that God shuts one door and he opens another, right? You know, read the Bible. How many doors were shut in the Bible? Just shut. Poof, gone. You don't get to do what you thought you were going to do. Nope, you're doing that, okay? So you either have to deal or become a bitter old person, you know, right? Or a young person that's bitter, who knows? But you could let it affect your entire life, and you don't need to. No. You don't need to, not at all. So I realized that wasn't what I was going to be doing, and I just needed to change my plans. And so God, of course, opened some ways. I started teaching private lessons. I played in bands. I did a lot of things with music, worked in a school district. It was great. I loved it. But my first love, honestly, is just teaching private lessons. I love to do that because I love to see the wonder on people's faces and the ability to allow that music into their lives, okay? And we can all do that. That's nothing special. You can all do it. My late husband had a huge part in shaping my ability to deal with chaos, to let go and let God. It was kind of his motto, because he had a lot of the same things happen. He flipped a coin when he was in college. Okay, heads, optometrist. Tails, the veterinarian, right? Guess which one? The optometrist. But, you know, he always wondered, you know, would he have been a good veterinarian? Who knows, right? Things change in our lives. Letting go, stepping back, taking that step back and allowing music in your life and in some form, right, allows you to touch that piece of your soul, allows you to take a little step back. It's like what we do when we meditate, right? We take that step back away from it. Just a moment. Just let go of it a moment. Just a moment. And amazing things can happen, right? We become calm. Because then God can come in because of you. If you keep talking, he can't. So, perfect is great. Perfect music, perfect everything. Nice. For those who can do that, I'm not one of them. But for some of those that can do it, it's great. But just remember, you don't have to be perfect at it. Just open your mouth. Just sing. Just hum. Just listen. Just breathe. All the things you can do. And they're effortless, and they're beautiful. So we're going to do a little bit of an exercise here, because you'll notice that sometimes when you feel off balance and out of control, if you just hum or make a sound and allow the sounds, you start to relax, like I said, and you release that control that you think you have over your life, and spirit will enter. So this little exercise is kind of it's a breath, and then it's a tone, and then it's a breath, okay? So the setup to this is you want to sit up straight in your chair, put your shoulders back, then drop them, and just relax everything. What that does is it centers your body, it centers you over your spine. It takes the stress off of your area in here so you can actually breathe, okay? So just relax, put your hands wherever you feel comfortable. Some people have them clasped, it doesn't matter, just as long as you relax. And so what we're going to do is you're going to take a breath in, and you're going to start to let it out, and let it out as a breath, and then let it go into a tone somewhere down in here, so just nice and easy, and then let it go out as a breath. Try it. And then just let it go out as a breath. And as that goes out in a breath, Just allow it to just be. Just allow it to be. There you go. How did that feel? It's wonderful, isn't it? Once you let go, and that going from a breath into a tone and engaging that vocal apparatus, and then just allowing it to dissolve into just air, is just, it's freeing. It's a wonderful thing. I had a few years that I had tachycardia, anxiety so bad I couldn't drive. It was horrible. It was really awful. And it was from stress. I realized that later. And as I started to think about that for a second, and this is after I had been a Unity-ite for a while, I thought, why don't I use that as a calming force for me? Okay? And so, for years, I would, if I drove after 6 o'clock at night, I'd have anxiety or stress attacks. And so, once I started doing that and allowing myself to just dissolve into that, or just hum, or just allow that breathing and that music to be there, it was amazing. A lot of my stress went away. I don't have that anymore. In fact, a lot of you know I've been through a bit, just like the rest of you, but you don't see me upset too often. And that's why, because God's always in my life. Every moment of every day, God's right here. And I can use music to connect, whether I'm singing or just listening. Like Karen's song. Karen's song did that to me this morning. Sunshine on my shoulders. Isn't that wonderful? Makes me happy. Makes me high. I love it. Natural high. It's great stuff. But that's what music does for us. But you have to back away and allow it to work its magic. Okay? And don't be embarrassed. You're not perfect, whatever, okay? So that Bible verse is from Psalm 100. And it says, "Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing." Okay? So God gave us that ability. He gave us music. He made us able to make those sounds. Okay? And he made us able to make those sounds so that we can touch each other and we can allow him in our lives. You guys have that power completely. So, personally, as long as I remember that, things flow pretty well. When I get arrogant and think it's all me, not so much. Like with meditation, for example, right? I don't plan what I play for meditation or prayers here, ever, and nothing's planned ever. But if I get in the way emotionally, if I don't just take that step back, I'll play something that doesn't, it feels like a square peg in a round hole, right? It just doesn't flow, okay? But the moment I move back and I allow God to work through me, then it works. So if you ever hear it being disjointed, you'll know what's wrong. But it's also why I don't really plan a lot of things in my life. Like this talk, it took me 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to put this talk together. Just because it's just part of who I am. And songs are the same way. Cheryl knows there's so many times that don't put anything down. Don't lock me into anything. Because to me, that doesn't allow spirit to work through me. And that's like the most important thing in my life. Okay? So on the song of response, I'm going to sing you a little song. And it's a Daniel Nemad song, and I would like you guys to sing along at the end. So I'll tell you when, okay? So, and feel free, you can clap your hands, be happy, join me, okay? Make this special music, okay? Thank you so much.